Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Darren, and by popular request, a lot of you guys asked for me to make a Assassination Rogue PvP guide for Legion. So this is the guide, and today I'll be taking a look at Assassination. I'll be telling you guys the best PvP talents, the best class talents, the best way to path your artifact weapon, and basically how to play Assassination in PvP in Legion in patch 7.0.3. This guide is going to go over everything basic as well as some of the new information for you guys. It's going to cover Assassination in terms of rotation, basic abilities, things to watch out for, passives, as well as the general playstyle that you should be following as an Assassination Rogue in order to perform the best that you can in PvP. First thing I want to go over is some of the changes for Assassination Rogues. For example, the only common point builder you have is Mutilate. You gotta talent into other common point builders if you want to get any other common point builders, but Mutilate is the most effective one in your arsenal by far. Seal of Fate allows you, when a critical strike with a melee attack that generates common points, it'll generate an extra common point. So Mutilate now has two different attacks, and both of them can crit separately. So Mutilate generates 2 common points at all times, but if both attacks and Mutilate, both hits at the same time crit, you can generate up to 4 common points maximum in a single global, which is kind of crazy. Venomous Wounds also got changed as a Warlord. Now you regain 7 energy every time a bleed ticks on an enemy that is poisoned. You no longer have this extra poison tick that's called Venomous Wounds. Now it's just Venomous Wounds is the energy refund of your bleeds. Assassination now has a mix of poisons and bleed based abilities, so you have a lot of dot damage and a lot of pressure. Assassination also lost a lot of CCs such as Gouge and Blind, and for the most part you are not that much of a CC heavy rogue, but you certainly have a lot of damage and certainly a lot of ways of dealing damage, so you actually have a couple different playstyle options in terms of your class talents and PvP talents. We'll be covering one build in particular that's probably the most effective, but there's a couple different builds for Assassination, so part of the fun of playing Assassination is being able to play with different PvP builds and use your artifact weapon differently and being able to, have different setups for different situations. Anyway, let's get on to the actual setup of the spec in terms of talents. I'm going to go over the class talents first to give you guys the general overlook. In the level 15 tree, you have 3 decent talents. Elaborate Planning is a PvE talent, so for the most part you don't even look at it. It's a choice between Master Poisoner and Hemorrhage. Good thing is both of them are fairly similar for PvP, so the difference between one and the other isn't going to be major. Hemorrhage increases the damage of your bleeds, 30 energy generates 1 common point, you basically keep it as a debuff at all times, so all your bleeds generate extra damage onto the enemy. While Master Poisoner on the other hand increases damage done by your poisons, that also means your burst rotation as well as your deadly poison. And there's a couple ways of synergizing Master Poisoner, and I guess Master Poisoner I feel like is better if you have more of your artifact tree unlocked. Like for example, there's a particular trait called From the Shadows, basically meaning your Vendetta will deal poison damage to your target over 20 seconds, and that's 400k nature damage, but that's outside of PvP stat setups, so this damage might be higher, a little bit lower maybe, but this basically applies for it as well. It also applies for your artifact weapon, which is a lot of nature damage, so Master Poison is good for bursty situations, while Hemorrhage is for beefier bleeds. Both of them are good, and I prefer Master Poisoner, mainly because I like the side effect for it. Your non-damaging effects are increased by 20%. That means your slow poison, crippling poison is a little bit stronger, a little more potent when you're trying to either chase or kite your enemy. At level 33, it's really a choice of Subterfuge for the most part, and the reason I say this is because Subterfuge allows you to get a clean opener with Cheap Shot, followed by Garrote, followed by maybe Hemorrhage, or maybe even Mutilate, and then get your Rupture up, so it allows you to get a full opener. It also allows you to get a little bit more CC in your opener, so you can get double Garrote or double Cheap Shot on a couple targets. Also, your Garrote will deal 100% more damage, so you should be Garroting whenever you open a target, so this allows you to be able to have Garrote, and Garrote won't have a cooldown as long as you use it in stealth, so it allows you to follow up an extra Garrote afterwards. So if you're training single target or playing against 2 different targets, allows you to playstyle, have a little bit more freedom in terms of playstyle and applying your bleeds. Level 45, a lot of people saying go deeper stratagem. The problem is with Assassination though, you just don't generate enough energy. So going deeper stratagem and building for full 6 common points is a bit of a struggle for Assassination for PvP situations. In most cases I go Vigor because it gives you more of an energy pool to start with. It gives you a little bit more breathing room when you're opening a target or when you're PvPing, but also that slight energy regeneration that is much needed. At level 63, it's a choice between Elusiveness or Cheat Death. Cheat Death is okay. I like Elusiveness because you can prevent damage ahead of time and be pretty tanky before you drop low health, because there's been situations where Cheat Death didn't even save me at all. But both of them are pretty good. It's up to you which one is your playstyle. At level 75, I feel like internal bleeding is probably the best, and that's probably the most staple. You can go Prey on the Weak in some situations, maybe if you're playing with a class that's really strong, like a Demon Hunter, Death Knight, or a Monk, and you're able to kidney for them. And even though those classes already have stuns as they do now, you can kidney for the other guy, allow them to burst and take the glory, but also be able to deal 10% more damage to make sure you score that kill. Internal bleeding for the most part is good because it gives you kidney a bleed. The more bleeds you have on a target as an assassination, the better, mainly because of venomous wounds. As we talked about it before, each single time a bleed takes on an enemy that is poison, you get 7 energy. Internal bleeding, adding a bleed into a kidney, gives you more energy over a long run. So it allows you to make your kidney more of an offensive ability while locking down your opponent, while granting you more energy. Kind of a nice combo. At level 90, it's a choice of Exsanguinate or Agonizing Poison. Now, Agonizing Poison needs to have a specific playstyle for it and a specific build, so for the most part, you should avoid it. I might make a video in the future talking about Agonizing Poison and the build that I developed back on the beta with it. Exsanguinate is pretty good. That's what you should be running. No cost for it. 45-second cooldown. It basically speeds up the bleeds that you have on the target. So what you would do is apply all your bleeds, you'll apply your Rupture, Corrode, and Internal Bleeding, then you will throw Exsanguinate, which will give you a lot of energy because your bleeds are speedy and they're ticking faster. It'll also deal a lot more damage to the enemies simply because your bleeds are moving at a faster rate. So you basically would use it and then you would build up damage either bursting your enemy or building up for another layer of bleeds. At level 100, it's a choice between Mark for Death or Venom Rush. I understand some people saying Venom Rush might be really good, as Venomous Wounds will give you 10 energy instead of 7, and in a long run, yes, you can get a lot of energy. But there have been situations where, let's say I dot up a target, and then we need to CC that target, and the Monk comes in, Paralysis. It literally removes all of my dots. So I feel like with Venom Rush, having bleeds to be a reliance on your target is a bit much. I prefer Mark for Death instead because it makes it a little bit easier for you. Instead of having to go for energy efficiency, you're going for common point efficiency, allowing to spend less energy to generate common points. 1 minute cooldown, 5 common points, 30 yard range, resets on a kill. It's pretty nice to combo into Mark for Death Kidney. Now, honor talents, for the most part, they're pretty self-explanatory. The first 3 deals with CC. For the most part, Gladiator's Medallion is the best way to go, unless you're not the kill target, and then honor Relentless, so then you don't sit CC quite as often. The next talents on the list are Hardness, Reinforced Armor, and Sparring. For the most part, Hardness you don't play. Reinforced Armor is pretty good, and I feel like it's the best choice in stable for most situations. Unless melee give you trouble in BGs, then you can definitely go Sparring. And you should definitely do Sparring if you're facing against like double melee in arenas. Next treats, Maneuverability, Intent to Kill, and Cut to the Chase. I've had long conversations with somebody in the comments before on Intent to Kill. I feel like it's pretty bad because it's tied to Vendetta, so it's only useful while Vendetta is available, and it doesn't even reduce your Shadow Step cooldown to 100%, only by 66%. So not quite that good. Cut to the Chase isn't great either. Maneuverability allows you a lot more mobility without having to worry about slows, allowing you to move around battlegrounds and arenas a little bit more efficiently every time you have sprint, which is at a lower cooldown thanks to Assassination Artifact Weapon, and basically allows you to get around the battlefield a little bit easier, to apply your dots and maybe escape some bad situations. Next one we have Unfair Advantage, which is probably the best one that I go with. Ability critical strikes on target with lower health percentage than you increase your critical strike damage by 20% for 3 seconds. This gives you a little bit of an unfair advantage over your target, especially since you get the opener in most cases. So as you layer all your bleeds and all your bleeds are taking and critting, you might be able to get a little bit extra damage out of all of your abilities as assassination, since you'll be ahead of your target. If you don't really like this talent trait, then you can go with Honor Among Thieves or Turn the Tables. I would stay away from Turn the Tables for the most part because it's kind of hard to line up like a stun that the enemy has to place on you, get out of it, burst the enemy as assassination. Honor Among Thieves is probably the best choice if you don't like Unfair Advantage. Next year we have Deadly Brew, and I haven't really given a try to Mind Knowing Poison and Shiv, so I'm not really going to BS you guys. I haven't really had a reason to go Shiv or Mind Knowing Poison. Maybe eventually somebody will figure out Mind Knowing Poison is alright, I guess. But it's just like casting spells while under the effect will cause you to take 20k nature damage. Isn't a lot. So it just makes me think, why? I don't understand. I don't understand this at all. Shiv is also an interesting ability. I just feel like it's not quite as good as Deadly Brew. Deadly Brew allows you to keep deadly poison without having to give up the effect of wound poison. So heal reduction and increased damage. Then we have Creeping Venom, Flying Daggers, or System Shock. Flying Daggers is just a no off the bat, don't even need to explain it. Then we have Creeping Venom, which means that on Venom, you apply Creeping Venom, dealing 80k worth of damage over 6 seconds to an enemy. It refreshes if the enemy moves. Now you're thinking, oh, 80k over 6 seconds, that's pretty good, but it actually is kind of low amount of damage, especially to see like the numbers once enemies are moving around. I mean, you're hitting it for about 5 to 6k, which isn't a lot every few seconds, and I don't think it's quite that good in my opinion. So I don't really go with Creeping Venom. You go with System Shock, which you definitely can't use quite as often, as casting Venom with at least 5 common points on a target will use the System Shock effect, which will deal nature damage, which is increased amount of nature damage, and synergizes well with your Master Poisoner. Nature damage as well slows the enemy for 90 seconds, or 90% for 4 seconds, which also synergizes with an artifact trait called Bag of Tricks. On Venom, you have a chance to smash a vial of poison onto the enemy. So you get the slow, you get the poison, enemies just taking a lot of damage from Venom, System Shock, and now Bag of Tricks. Kind of combos well together if you think about it. But I really take it for the damage increase that it has. I feel like it's a better damage increase than Creeping Venom. I mean, you don't get to use it quite as often, but it's well worth building up 5 common points for that massive burst that Assassination I feel like needs sometimes. Just an extra oomph just to get the enemy health low enough to get an advantage over them. Also, the PvP talents, I want to take a look at the artifact trait for a little bit and talk a little bit about the artifact weapon. Kingsbane, 35 energy, 45-second cooldown, will generate a common point in patch 7.1, so that'll be nice. Release a deadly poison at the enemy, deal nature damage plus extra nature damage over time, and when you apply lethal poison on the enemy that is hit by Kingsbane, your dot damage is increased by 15%. So basically, once you apply Kingsbane, train the target down. It is a strong, potent poison, and combos again really well together if you are running Master Poisoner, as you increase the damage of your poisons by 30%. That is all straight up poison nature damage. And then once you build upon that and you are exploring the artifact of the Assassination Rogue, there's some artifact traits that you should definitely nab. First one being Urge to Kill. Whenever you activate Vendetta, Whenever you activate Vendetta, it refills your full energy. So you would basically dodge your target, get energy drained, Vendetta, continue a burst in order to be able to spend your energy, make the enemy take more damage, have your energy, be able to burst even more. So it combos really well together, and on top of it, once you get it, Master Assassin is the next one you should get. Reduces the cooldown of Vendetta by 10 seconds, and I think it goes up to 30-second cooldown reduction. So you have 1.5 second Vendetta, so every minute 30, you have Vendetta. Some of the major traits you should go for are From the Shadows, as I talked before. Vendetta will deal extra nature damage, which combos well again with your talent for Master Poisoner. Then next one you should go for is Blood of the Assassinated. Whenever you can't, Rupture has a chance to deal 100% more damage for 10 seconds. It's only a chance, so that's why I rank it second. A Bag of Tricks is the last one mainly because it's, again, RNG and has this AoE pool that most enemies don't stand in. Alright, so when we talked a little bit about Assassination, we got yourself set up with talents, PvP talents, and how you should build yourself for your weapon for PvP. We are, first of all, going to apply Deadly Poison, and again, we're applying Deadly Poison mainly because we have Deadly Brew, so we're getting the effects of Wound Poison. And let me show you guys a little bit about Assassination in terms of your rotation, in terms of your burst, and in terms of generally how you will play Assassination as well as some of the other effects. Your general opener as Assassination would be this: Cheap Shot, Garrote, Mutilate, Rupture, Mark for Death Kidney. You are going to change your rotation slightly if you're running Hemorrhage, and I'll show you guys in a second. So if you're running Master Poisoner, this is your general opener without cooldowns. And now you got all your dots up, you got all your damage rolling on the target, and you can just spam Mutilate to generate common points and Envenom to deal damage. Now, if you are switching out for Hemorrhage, your rotation is going to be slightly different, and it's kind of like an RNG chance. So basically what you will want to do is go into Stealth, you're going to get a Cheap Shot on target, Corrode on them early, and then a follow-up with Hemorrhage. Because of Seal of Fate, passive, when you critical strike with a melee attack that generates a common point, you gain an additional common point. So this one is more, you got to pay attention a little bit more in terms of your common points. So what you're hoping for is Cheap Shot, you get 2 common points, Garrote, you get 1 common point, and then Hemorrhage crits, so you get 2 common points instead of 1. So then you can just like Rupture, Mark for Death, Kidney. If that does not work and you get 4 common points, I wait for the Kidney, Mark for Death, Rupture. So you want to make sure you have that 5 common point Rupture. The Kidney, if it doesn't get 5 common points, it's fine. I'd rather have a 5 common point Rupture than Kidney. So here we go. It didn't crit, so I'm going to go for Kidney, Mark for Death, Rupture. So that's usually how I set up. So you still got your bleeds, but you got stronger bleed damage with hemorrhage. And I mean, I think the numbers kind of speak for themselves. This is a trained dummy, but a player would be taking similar type of damage. How would you use Exsanguinate? Once you have all your bleeds on a target, so let me show you for example. Let me get all my bleeds on a target. I'm going to put Garrote and Rupture. Now my target is bleeding, right? And you can see the bleeds are ticking down slowly. Exsanguinate and they speed up tremendously. And the numbers are speeding up, and I'm getting a lot of energy out of it. I'm just going to spam Feint to show just how much energy I'm burning through, or trying to. You get a lot of energy, so when you use Exsanguinate, start mashing Mutilate and start trying to get Envenoms in there. So the best way to go about with Exsanguinate is to get Garrote, 5 combo point Rupture, and if you can, 5 combo point Kidney Shot, which is the reason why we go Mark for Death, because it just combos so well together. And you can use it in an opener. Another thing I should talk about is Vendetta. Basically, you put Vendetta after you have all your dots on the enemy. So basically, treat it a lot like Exsanguinate. Once you have all your dots on the enemy, you can use it before or after, depending on how you traded yourself with the artifact weapon. If you have Urge to Kill, get your dots, get your energy out completely in the opener, then Vendetta to get full energy bar back, and then start mashing your damage into the target. Otherwise, you basically want to apply once you have all your damage. Vendetta is a really easy cooldown for defensive and offensive. Somebody asked me, would you apply Vendetta, then apply Bleeds, or would you apply Bleeds, then apply Vendetta? I understand the snapshot mechanic, but it doesn't really apply for Vendetta because it's a debuff on the enemy. No matter what kind of damage the enemy is taking or not taking, once you put the 30% debuff on them, they're taking 30% more damage from you. And there's just nothing you can do about it, so no snapshot mechanic to work with here. Also a question, how would you use Kingsbane? Basically, I would go through my main opener rotation of sorts, I would get my bleeds up, and I would use Kingsbane right afterwards. Kingsbane can be just snuck in anytime you want to. Realistically, as Assassination Rogue, technically, you can burst in an opener. You can burst whenever you want to. The best way to burst is once you have all your bleeds up and you get your kidney bleed up. Vendetta, get the Exsanguinate in it, get the Kingsbane, and let your dots rip. And just stay in the enemy while your dots are ticking. Mutilate and envenom your target back to back. So let me show you guys how you can burst in an opener. So I'm going to cheap shot my target, Garrote, Mutilate, get a Rupture, Mark for Death Kidney, throw Exsanguinate in there, throw Vendetta in there, and at the end, after that Exsanguinate, I'm going to use Kingsbane. So I am probably going to throw Vendetta a little bit early. Don't freak out if I do though, because it's not on global cooldown. Anyway, let's give it a try. And now I got all my dots. I'm spamming Mutilate and Envenom. Now my enemy is ticking, they are dying, and in most cases, players don't survive this damage. And somehow I was able to get 2 Serpent Heads because of a trinket. So as Assassination, the only things you have to do is build common points using Mutilate. And that is your only ability for building common points, really. Keep up Garrote on your target at all times the best you can, as it is a good amount of your damage. Make sure to get Rupture on your target at 5 common points, because the more common points you invested, the more damage you deal in the long run. And when you're lining up on the enemy, it's good to use Kidney before Envenom. You would use Envenom when there's nothing available. Use Kidney whenever you can. Besides that, you also have one interesting ability for Assassination called Poison Knife. It throws a poison-coated knife at the enemy, always applying a poison on the enemy, lethal and non-lethal, awards 1 common point and deals subpar damage. The way you would use Poison Knife is you don't spam this ability. It's 40 energy, you don't want to be starved. You basically would use it to apply all of your poisons, both of them. If it, let's say this ability is interesting when you're chasing or kiting after an enemy. So, let's say you have a feral that's chasing you, right? And you're just spamming poison knives. You don't want to be doing this. What you want to do in most cases when someone's chasing you, throw poison knives, wait until the enemy is about to take off the poisons, or if you're predicting it, and then reapply your poisons. So you're not spamming this ability for damage, you're spamming it for the application of poisons. But it's pretty interesting ability because you can apply a bunch of your poisons to a bunch of enemies in the BG or even arenas. Making sure that everybody is slow and make sure that everybody has to have wound poison and deadly poison available. It actually comes well together because of Deadly Brew. Your deadly poison also causes wound poison, so when you throw this blade, it always applies both of your poisons, so you can spread wound poison on a bunch of enemies that are far away from you. And I think this is everything that I can cover for Assassination Rogues. This is everything you need to know, and for the most part, it's just practice from there on. Make sure that you have fully built up artifact weapon if you want to perform at your very best. As you can see, I do not have a fully built up artifact weapon because I am maining Outlaw Rogue, so all of my artifact power is going into the Outlaw Rogue weapon. Anyway guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully this was helpful for anybody who's new and trying to play Assassination, and hopefully this was helpful for anybody who already plays Assassination but was able to learn something new today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let me know if you have any more guides you want me to make or any more things you want me to talk over. Maybe even send me a build for Assassination and have me test it in a video. Also, let me know if you want to see the Agonizing Poison build. I always thought this Agonizing Poison build was very interesting, and I always want to show it to everybody, but I'm not sure if I wasn't sure if I was gonna enjoy it myself. But it's an interesting build, and if you guys are interested in seeing it, I can definitely make a video on it and give you guys a guide on the basic playstyle for Assassination. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. My name is Dalrin, and hopefully I'll see you guys in another video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.